Previously on the
Yum Yum podcast.
What I am majorly concerned about, as somebody who has experienced science fiction television, that they're using the proto-molecule for making super soldiers. As somebody who suffered the super soldier arc in the X-Files, I got major flashbacks of it, and my skin crawled thinking about it. I also couldn't help but think of how in Jurassic Park, they always want to use the dinosaurs, same with the Alien franchise, they always want to use the dinosaurs and the aliens to militarize them and to blend them and to make just soldier more powerful, fighting betterer. And I am so tired of that, so I am concerned.
In an unrehearsed battlefield demonstration, a single, unarmed version 1 hybrid easily defeated 6 UN Marines and then 4 Martian Marines.
Super soldiers, super soldiers, super soldiers.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you doing?
All right. You?
Just all right. I'm doing fine and dandy.
It's the beginning of the cascade, though.
Well, yes, it's the beginning of a series of events that are unfortunate for our heroes. And villains, too. No one is really coming out of this one looking great.
Nah.
But we are Ryan and Rachel, the hosts of Yum Yum Podcast, and we are exploring The Expanse. That is correct. We have never seen the television series The Expanse before, and so we are going through it with fresh eyes, going through it for the first ever
We're
time.
We're in uncharted territories.
Oh, and you know what they say about that? They say many things are said, and...
including...
Oh, have you noticed...
the title of this episode, but Ryan won't let me skip to that because
have you noticed...
he's going to make one of us explain Yum Yum.
Excuse me. I was going to more so draw to the point that we've had a few episodes now where they've title dropped it in a very obvious and ham-fisted way at times, and I've kind of loved it. It's
hammy,
it's so
but in a good way.
Wonderful. But yes, Yum Yum Podcast is named after a monumental line of dialogue from Star Trek Discovery, a series that makes our brains fire off on all cylinders. So we had to start a podcast about science fiction television, and Star Trek Discovery was the one we went with first because Yum Yum was a line of dialogue that was so stupendous that we just had to discuss it, and we have to bring it up every so often in every episode. We don't bring it up too much. We bring it up the right amount. And Rachel, I am so keen to know what episode of The Expanse we are talking about today.
Here, there be dragons. And the IMDb synopsis is simply, Bobby makes a decision that changes her life forever.
This is season 2, episode, what is this, 11?
You are right. It is episode 11.
Yum Yum is not just a line of dialogue from Star Trek Discovery, but it's a way of being. It was such a charged, sexually that is, charged, and well, there was electricity in the air because Oscar-winning actress Michelle Yeoh was involved in that scene. So we like to take a moment to examine an episode of The Expanse by looking at what made us want to say yum yum, what made us lick our lips, throw our hair back, get a little turned on, and say yum yum. And I'm a very simple man, Rachel. I'm a very simple man. There wasn't too much horniness going on in this particular one, but I am an honest and simple man, and when I see Bobby beat the shit out of a chaplain, it got me going. I'm just being real honest with everyone here. That was hot stuff. He deserved it too. She stopped herself from killing him, but at the end of the day, it got me in the yum yum zone. What about you?
Interesting. I have a slightly different pick. I think that there was an amount of sexual tension between Alex and the ship.
It's always a sure thing to bet that he wants to fuck the ship. We joked about this in the early days of the show, that his character is the type that loves the ship, and so if he made love to it, it would be a logical progression. Is that the character arc for Alex that I've been craving so much? But Rachel, everyone that's listening right now, whether they're new or old, want to know, how did Amos push your buttons this week? How did he slip those fingers in there and push the buttons? What did he do?
How am I meant to stay collected when you say that?
I'm just saying the truth. How did Amos get to you this time?
Him saying, "Why am I always the one that gets shot?" That just hit my funny bone.
Oh, I got a good chuckle, and I thought the actor delivered it with the right amount of sass when he just cut through the whole Cascade speech from the last episode when they had to explain it to the rest of the characters by just saying, shit's fucked.
And they don't know it yet.
Clap our hands and move on. We've already done the speech about the Cascade effect, so let's keep rolling on.
It's happening. Faster than I thought.
What's happening?
The Cascade. In real nature, there's enough
It
diversity.
means this station is fucked. And the people here just don't know it yet.
Tell me a little bit about Here There Be Dragons from your point of view, Rachel.
It was fine. But something is holding me back from saying that it was really good. And I don't know exactly what it is. And I feel like through this discussion, I'm going to end up liking it more. But I don't know. I'm feeling a bit lost in describing how I feel about it, because it gives that distinct impression that it's an episode that will change in retrospect.
I enjoyed this one, not as much as the last few. What stood out to me is there were a lot of plots in this one, and I'm finding that I prefer when the Expanse is a little bit more narrow in the amount of stories going on in a particular episode. So we had the Venus stuff going on, we had Bobby, we had Christian, we had the Mao stuff, we had all the stuff on Ganymede and Alex, and we have like half a dozen stories going on at the same time. But
they're all moving a little bit.
And this is the thing. For an episode that is juggling so many balls in the air, it does it with absolute grace. And I think it's probably one of the best executions of doing that we've seen in the series thus far. But personal preference, I like the previous ones where we just had A, B, and maybe a C story, and we got to live in those a little bit more. When I was writing out the discussion points, I really was surprised at, oh yeah, the Bobby stuff. I should make sure to include that. And oh yeah, there's some stuff with Prax, and oh yeah, this. And it just kept stacking on top of itself. And this is totally earned as well, because we're nearing the end of the season. We have all of these stories and characters to deal with, and so you're going to be ramping that up.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's very logical.
I enjoy the episode, but it does feel like a step down from where we have been, and maybe it's also just because it is so plot heavy.
And it's interesting because this episode is rated higher on IMDb than at least the last one.
We don't always gel with what the ratings are, though. We have our tastes and things, and even you and I differ drastically from one another, especially when it comes to this show. Just to discuss that in itself, how do you feel? Because we've done a lot of science fiction TV now. We've covered a few different series, and more often than not, we see eye to eye a lot more. But I feel like with The Expanse, we differ with opinions, or at least the feelings towards an episode more often than not.
Yeah. But it speaks to the fact that there's different qualities and aspects to this show. Where, and I also think we differ more when it comes to first watches. Because we come at it from different angles. And since this is the first full show that we're doing that neither of us have watched, so we're expecting different things from the show.
I'm a lot more optimistic and hopeful when going through episodes for the first time of a series, unless it's proven in a very distinct manner that it is going to disappoint and or fuck me over. If you go through our Patreon and you hear our discussions of season 2 of Star Trek Picard, the first episode literally is me being like, oh, look, it has some problems, but I actually think there's a lot of merit. And then you listen to the second episode discussion, and I'm instantly against it because it screwed me. I could tell it was going to screw me. And you were straight off not wanting to accept it. And so we differ in that way in particular. Like, I feel like I'm a lot more forgiving or a lot more accepting and wanting to get great new TV into my veins, while you have a lot more reservations about that, specifically in this genre as well, because
I expect it to fail more than it'll succeed.
Yeah, and especially with modern television shows, with where Star Trek's at, even where with Star Wars is at as well, television-wise, the quality is so flippant. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Who knows? It's such a gambit at the moment, and The Expanse has such a reputation as well. But we have been having a little bit of a debate, you and I, as well as our patrons, because we release this for the Patreon first, and we discuss in our group Discord their things after the episodes come out about where the fuck this Dr. Turby character is from. I thought he was Australian initially. Now I think he's supposed to be Canadian again, because he said water in the most American way, North American way possible. He specifically, it's almost like he emphasized saying it with the D sound, water. We don't do it like that. And then some of our patrons have been saying, oh, I think he's a South African, that he's supposed to be this almost Elon Musk figure in this show, this eccentric, genius type science guy who's slimy and you can't trust him with anything, but he's also a little bit competent. Where are you at? Where's this guy from? Where's he supposed to be from? Because I want to like this plot and I want to like him, but I can't believe in the story because I can't determine where this man is supposed to be from.
Yeah, I was left really confused. And I was with you because I was like, oh yeah, he did say water that way, but also these other words he says in this way. And I'm like, he is meant to be from Earth. If it was a belter, it would be easier to understand the inconsistencies.
Or maybe if he's a Martian, because we've also seen a diversity of accents with Mars as well. I mean, each place has a diversity of accents, as does the real world, but I know it's such a small detail. This is a performance choice, but
it takes you out of it.
I always am reminded that I'm watching a production. And so when we have this particular strand of the episode where there's more stuff going on with Venus, they have to shoot some satellites down there, some probes, but they're getting broken up in the atmosphere before they get down there, and so they're going to cannibalize things. He's feeding information back to Christian. The Martians are still following them, and are they going to be hostile? We shoot the probe down there that's been cannibalized, that's had another one put over it. It lands, and they get a brief footage of what looks like a structure that the blue goo has made of some sort. They see it momentarily, but it's almost like an EMP goes off and everything shuts down. It's very tiny in the story. It is one that is, we're watering that seed right now.
We see a man walking around without a vac suit.
Oh, we did see that in...
I think so. I think that was in the distance of the structure.
Oh, okay, because it was quick. I couldn't tell if that was just the goo itself just flashing, you know how it kind of pulsates with the light that it has. So I wasn't able to clock fully if that was a guy or if it was just part of this Lovecraftian structure, because it is very abstract.
Maybe I just, I thought I saw something, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just assuming because that's what happened on Ganymede.
What do you think about this ongoing story? Because this is, as I just said, this implementation of it is, we're checking in. Hey, now we've got a little bit more that we can do in the next episode or the one after that. But how do you feel about it as this ongoing thing? We've had it for several episodes now.
I'm not minding it. I hope that it comes to a point in this season and that it's not something that we're waiting on over the season break. But I don't really have anything to say on it other than I'm waiting for it to pay off, and I hope that it's worth the time that is invested.
I thought it was egregious in this episode. It was padding out the time. I don't care with how they are telling it. I like the character, even though I don't care for the performance choice. I actually like the Colonel as well. They have these great worldviews that bounce off of each other, but that does not make a story good in itself. And so I am like you. I'm just waiting for it to eventually get around to the point. And this is one of those ones where when it comes onto the screen, I almost zone out in a way because it isn't giving me anything new in terms of emotions. Like, I don't feel anything when this comes on. I just go, okay, they're checking in on this and, oh, okay, so there's a structure there. We'll see where that goes. That's the sensation. Oh, I guess we'll see where that goes. But that doesn't, like, I want to actually feel something and think something when I am watching a show, and especially if I'm diverting time away from rather compelling plots and characters to something else. That something else better be compelling in itself, and I just don't find this at all interesting. Am I being too harsh with this? Is it just that I am getting tired of the modern storytelling in television shows where we have to at least spend 2 minutes rifling through a little story that will eventually become a bigger one later?
I see your point. And when I do think about the broader picture, I do feel that frustration. But going episode by episode, I'm not feeling it as much this season. I think I felt that sensation more in the first one, even though it was a shorter season.
What has changed for you?
I know the characters more. I think that's the main thing. I don't mind spending time with all of these people that I know, so their plots don't feel as heavy and as weighed down. And the other plots I am not attached to because I see them as expendable.
Do you have any ideas of what we could get up to with this going forward?
I don't know. I feel like they're going to die there, but that's about it. And the blue goo is going to do something. That's the most I got for you.
Oh, I think they're going to die there. I think he's going to go down there and he's going to meet Julie. That's what I think is going to happen with that. And I think he's going to die. And there's going to be some heightening of the drama from that because maybe it looks like the Martians did it and that could be something that sparks off a war or conflict. But I do think Julie's going to come back. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I just want to do a little bit of a prediction on that now because what else does this story serve other than speculation?
Do you think if Magellan followed protocols, he would have circumnavigated the world?
He didn't make it all the way around. He died trying.
He met giants in Patagonia, mate. We're in uncharted waters. It's worth the risk.
The Expanse does like to play around with how they present stories. And this particular episode has a flashback structure to it. And I think it is a pretty well implemented flashback series. It feels like we need this information directly from this perspective rather than them getting this information. I
agree. It also gives us a little bit of an insight into the characters of Prax's daughter and Dr. Strickland. Before now, they have just been names. They have just been entities that exist, but we know nothing of their personalities. We know that she's a cute little girl who has a backpack. That's it, and she has an illness, but we don't actually know anything about who she is until this flashback structure. And so the flashback structure allows for, at least for myself, to forgive a lot of the conflict and drama that unfolds because Prax cares for his daughter. Now we know why, because we've met her through these flashbacks. And so I'm also feeling for her plight. And I don't like this Dr. Strickland, so I'm rooting against him. Before then, we were just told those obvious things, but now we are being demonstrated them. And again, tying back to my complaint about the Venus plot, I'm feeling something about it. It's not just being told or I'm on tender hooks and I'm waiting to see what will happen next. And Dr. Strickland, I said I recognized this actor. Now we've gotten a good look at him and he has a lot more going on. I recognize him from another science fiction series in which he plays a little freak.
I'm not shocked. What is it?
Killjoys. He's in Killjoys, and he's like a higher up or right hand of a villainous group, and he is a weasel and a traitor. And as soon as I clicked in my brain, that's who he was. I'm now even more excited to see where we go with this character because I know that this actor is good at playing slime balls, and he demonstrated that very much so in this episode.
Yeah, he really did. The way that he's being sweet.
We know it's false because he's talking to that other scientist, and when this child interrupts him, you see that it bothers him and that he has to put on a face to comfort the child because it's easier to lie to the child than hurt her right now. And that's what her
cooperation is needed.
Her innocence is needed for now. We will lead her down this path and then trap her because that's what's going on. He tells a story about a butterfly, how he helped free it from its chrysalis or cocoon, and you're not supposed to do that they need to struggle to survive. And that's when Mr. Morden from Babylon 5 walked over and said, yeah, that's a good analogy. I used anthills for my little survival of the fittest routine, but yeah, the butterfly thing's good too, actually. And we do see what happens to the daughter, at least in part. She is brought into a room full of other children who are strapped down and getting injected with a bunch of stuff. And she has that happen to her, and she doesn't seem too thrilled by it, Rachel.
No, can't blame her. I would be awfully concerned if that's what happened to me.
And I think that the Expanse has been keenly aware that the flashbacks are a crutch, but if you utilize them well, they work. I think the Expanse really excels at giving us things that we are familiar with, but with a certain level of polish and sheen that makes it riveting. I am surprised that you haven't yelled about Naomi being a mother, something that we haven't really vocalized, but I feel like in previous discussions it has been in the air of how much of her behavior is that of a mother, is that of a sister, is that of just a cliched female character. But she reveals to Prax that she knows what he's going through more than anyone else because she has gone through something like this because she's a mother and she didn't win. She lost on that one. And so she's trying to, during the course of events, prevent Prax from going through what she has gone through. She knows in her bones that the daughter is either dead or has been transformed into some blue goo monster, and she wants to make sure that Prax doesn't have to go through the hell that she's clearly gone through in the past. And this information, now known, greatly recontextualizes, or at least deepens, things we've seen in other episodes.
It does feel a little cheap, but it does help you understand why her urge to help the helpless is so strong.
Was it a surprise?
No, not really. I'm not particularly hopeful about what this will bring for Naomi. And I don't know. I am never the hugest fan of the late reveal of I had a child, but I lost that child. It's usually done in a way where it's just like, oh, what more how can we traumatize this woman? That's what that storyline often feels like to me.
They also, I think it's fair to say that they use it as a justifiable reason for her to be so emotional during the episode, because she's highly emotional. She is going against Holden because of this guilt or this loss, and she is trying to help Prax not go through it as well. And that's a perfectly fine way to tell the story, but I don't know. I sometimes get a little bit like how you were just saying about this late stage reveal of I used to be a parent and I lost my kid, and that kind of is why I'm so emotional in my choices. And that really is, at least in my eyes, how Naomi is played in the story. She is not agreeing with Holden. She is telling him that he is losing a grip on his morals. She's treating Amos more like a child in this one than in other ones. She like I said, is trying to really stop Prax from going too far with his stuff. And I don't know, I'm just not connecting with it overall. Maybe I just preferred her as like this badass engineer lady who
OPA
used to be a terrorist.
Agent,
yeah. Ever since she said, "I love you, Holden," I guess I've lost a little bit of that vigor for her character because I'm like, do you? Why do you?
You need to be ready in case.
In case we don't find her, look, you haven't lost a child.
Yes, I have. My baby boy was taken from me. And I tried to find him and I failed. It took me a very long time to understand that it wasn't my fault.
Would you have listened to anyone who was telling you what you're telling me now?
But the station is dying and people are aware of it. There are those on the station that are scavenging and getting ready for the end time. And
Well, it also makes sense because it's just like, well, they're not getting food. So, of course, they want to get off the station.
But there's more of a desperation to it that is aware of how impending this is, and Prax notices that, and so it gives more of a ticking clock element to it. It's not just the threat of the blue goo or the threat of a super soldier running around or evil scientists, but it is that this is a dying station, that it is in now its death throes, and the death rattle is coming out. And I actually really enjoy that. I'm a sucker for that kind of dread. The lights are flickering and there's glitching sounds and people are running around with cables, and it goes all into this genre. These are things that we have seen before, but I'm a fan of it, and so I'm here to see episodes of this station falling apart, and we know how vital it is to Earth and Mars.
Yeah, we do.
It's the breadbasket of the system. It's where they get their food. It's a major contributor to that. So if that's taken away,
And it's a joint enterprise as well. It's a sign of them working together, however tenuously that is.
Holden is becoming more amoral and grizzled. He is talking about what we said in the last episode. It's like he listened to us about how he was kind of proud of Amos for doing that because he would have had to have done it if it wasn't him. Somebody had to beat that guy up to get what they needed, and he can live with that. He's fine with that. I can beat up a thug to provide more intel to our mission because it's a justifiable act.
Yep.
And Amos looks proud. Naomi, not so much.
No. And both of those things make sense in the episode and for the characters at the stage that we know them now.
Prax is such a joy. They give him a gun. He doesn't know how to fire one, but he knows that he's going to fight for his daughter. And you have to talk about it because you're the Amos head on the pod. But Amos makes sure to provide Prax a weapon. But what else does he do?
We get Teacher Amos. We haven't had him in a little while. Have we?
No. Well, he's been educational in terms of showing Prax that violence is real handy.
Yeah, he has. And to that end, almost, Amos gets to teach Prax how to use a gun. And is very clear about, please don't shoot me. I don't want to get shot. Had enough of that.
So this is how the safety works. You got
Goes
that?
through all the steps. And you know what? Like, Prax is the responsible for the bullet that hits Amos.
Amos does fire first in the shootouts. They get up,
As
but
he
he fires
usually
first,
does.
as he usually does.
Yeah, those reflexes, like the grenade bit.
Oh, yes. They do eventually stumble across where the scientists are holding up in, and I did have a little bit of a guffaw at them opening up the door and they're just all eating their lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
And there's just this awkward tension of the scientists don't even know how to react to these people pointing guns at them. Pizza, we want to eat some pizza. That's all.
Kumbaya.
And Amos looking dumbfounded as well. He just has this hangdog look on his face of like, whoa, okay, this is a little more...
I was expecting openly evil people, but okay.
Or, I was, like the audience, expecting us to stumble across something not like this. But you said it. Amos, he gets shot because he took a bullet for Prax. So in the end, Prax didn't shoot him, but he is responsible in part because...
Causality-wise, yeah.
He's in part responsible for Amos taking a bullet. He flips out Prax because he sees his daughter's backpack, the one thing that we can identify her by.
Yes, we can. And then Prax is carrying it around and it's cute.
It is.
It's cute.
It is such a great image of we're seeing all of this violence, this shootout, this action, this horror, this science
this grown
fiction.
Man with this little pink backpack that has his daughter's name on it.
The holographic animals that pop out. It's a great way of adding levity to a lot of heaviness that's going to be before us because they dispense with these scientists. The scientists throw a grenade in, they throw it right back, and you hear an explosion, you hear a growling sound and people screaming in pain. But before they even go in that room, there's another room in this place that Holden does not seem to
I keep on jumping ahead to the Amos heavy bits, don't I?
Yeah, because you love him. He if he could love, I don't know. If he would love you, I don't know. I think he's too much of a bro. He knows that we're married, so he ain't gonna tap that. But
he has honor.
Honor. Yeah, that's what I would say. Honor. But they find a room with they find a creepy science room in your creepy science base.
Crematorium?
Yeah, and it has
furnace.
It has a little coffin inside of it. Well, a coffin, a container, a cryogenic freezing unit, and there's a girl inside.
But we've seen corpses in similar things. Like Miller's mate was in one. Before he got jettisoned.
Oh, right. He was in an inflatable bag, wasn't he? But I know what you're saying. He was also in one of those drawers. But this is a little coffin, and it has someone in a plastic bag. It reminded me of Firefly when we first met. What was her name? River? Was that her name?
Yeah.
When you open it up and she's in a little position and she's got the dry ice coming off of her. You had that. Ooh, but this person, this child, is vacuum sealed up with a tube in them, injecting them full of proto-molecule, Rachel.
Yeah. Proto-molecule in the hizzy. And Holden's like, burn it.
Well, we needed confirmation from Prax that it's not his child. I did wonder, like, oh, this child is so gooed up. Is this the child that we just saw? But Prax knows that's not her. It's another child. And Holden goes real scary by just walking out of the room, no real expression, pushes the button and incinerates. And that's the job he's here to do. I'm here to destroy the proton molecule in any
means necessary.
He's not there to save. He's there to destroy and eradicate in order to save. And that moment is when Naomi gives him that look of, oh, buddy, we're not going to be hanging around for a little while after that. She gives him this side eye of like, whoa, what the fuck, dudes?
Like, oh, okay. Okay, he's not stopping. He is going full steam ahead with this approach. And I'm not going to convince him otherwise. I've been trying to. He is not turning around.
So let's just do what Jimmy Holden does, which is keep on walking, just keep on plowing forward. And so let's go into the scary room where we just heard what sounds like a whole room of people scream to death.
They're probably dead now, so it's fine.
And they are.
Well, one of them isn't.
The episode played with me because I said, oh, look, there's a big glass thing in the middle and it's been broken. And maybe that's where the grenade went off and it broke the thing, obviously the hybrid, they call it, out. But Amos says, no, Ryan, that's stupid. Clearly it broke out from the inside, dummy.
Yeah.
Why would you think that? Why would you think those two things would be connected in that way? It's just happenstance. Shut up, Ryan. And then Amos grabbed me. And that was my Amos pick of the episode when he grabbed me. And he said, grow up! They're just happenstance. And also over there's that evil scientist lady that was with Strickland that we just saw a moment ago. And she's still alive because we need someone to say scary things.
Yeah. That is what it felt like. It's just like, oh, it does multiple things. She gives scary exposition, tick, tests Holden's morality, tick, is the final straw for Naomi, tick.
I loved that this lady was begging them for help. She was begging them, and he says, no. You need to give me the information. And she could tell that she was going to now die. Oh, I'm going to die now. And she just ends her life embracing the fact that she's an evil scientist. Another evil scientist, by the way, Rachel. We need to keep a tally of how many fucking evil scientists there are in this show. Have we gone to like double digits yet? It feels like we've had a zillion evil scientists, but she's choking to death on her own blood. She's bleeding out, and she's like, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to say ominous shit. Yeah, there's more, by the way. You think that this is all there is? There's fucking more children that we're manipulating. I don't care about your morality. I don't know if she had the empathy thing happen to her, but she seemed jazzed telling them that, by the way. She seemed super glad to let them know that there's more nasty shit ahead of you. Bye. I'm dead now. Bye-bye.
You're not getting any more help from me. I'm out.
And Naomi says, me too. I'm out of here. Amos has been shot. I'm going to save the station. We are going to leave. We are going to do the morally right thing.
Like, she's like, oh, I'm going to help the somnambulist leave. And it's just like, Melissa won't want to fucking see you.
Well, tough shit, because she's going to see me and everyone else on this station, because I'm going to save the people. Even though I'm unaware that it's a no-fly zone. Well, actually, I am aware because Alex is right there, by the way.
Yeah.
Alex is here too.
And also she got a little notification on her phone being like, oh
yeah. And they split off. Alex is here to let them know that there's more blue goo incidents happening and that there's more factions to contend with. And Amos is saying, well, we? What's all this we stuff about?
Who's with you? Who's with you, Alex?
Who else is in this race here? And I just have to shout out that Holden and Naomi have a big kiss before they leave to remind us that not only are they in a relationship, but they have had sex, because it was a very, very passionate and very arousing kiss. It wasn't just a little peck. It wasn't just It
was a full-on kiss, not a full makeout, just a very strong, passionate, intimate kiss.
I'm going back to make sure the somnambulist is up and running. And I'm going to help Melissa get as many people off this station as we can before it dies.
If we don't catch that thing out there, a lot more people will die.
People die every day. I wanted to believe we could stop this. We can't.
Jimmy Holden is with Prax and Alex to face off against A blue goo man.
Blue Goo Man, they're going on a hunt.
This thing has ripped through metal doors. It's walking outside without any kind of vac suit on. And that's a thing too. Can we just circle that? This thing looks so inhuman and weird and glowy that every time they say it's not wearing a vac suit, how do you know that?
Fucking yeah.
Oh, no, counter. How would you know that? It looks so abstract from the human condition that I would have just assumed, like, oh, yeah, that's its suit. It's so fucking weird.
Okay.
Like, it's so weird looking that I wouldn't immediately go, oh, that's a guy without a suit on out there. Like, that's also the thing. They keep making that the point, like, oh, that's the weird thing. Like, that's the thing that's weird.
Look, it's glowing blue, honey. That's also weird.
It's making monster screams that you can hear through space. That's the weird thing, not the fact, oh, it's not wearing a suit. They keep saying that like that's the weird part. No, that's not the weird part. The weird part is it looks like a fucking alien. That's the weird part, dude. But they know because proto-molecule exists. They know how fucking crazy it can get. And they end the episode with Jimmy Holden. He might as well have cocked his gun, looked at us and winked and said, it's hunting time. It's time to go on a hunt. He might as well licked his lips and said yum yum. He would have said yum yum in the episode if this series was brave enough.
So Alex is having some alone time with the Rossi. And you know, they're going steady. So that's what it feels like.
He's cheating on his wife with the ship. He took his ring off and everything. Did you notice that?
I did.
He let his ring go because now he's making love with the ship. You know, he can't wear the ring because it reminds him of his family that he has. And if he's going to get intimate with this ship, he needs to take the ring off.
Yeah, he needs to admit that it's over with his wife.
If she's still alive.
If that isn't just an AI-generated image because he thought it was too weird to have a photo of his ship and his shuttle.
But Alex is alone and having to determine the best way to get over this new problem that is the no-fly zone. He knows that they won't be able to get out, but he could probably get in.
Yes, and he follows where they're going, assuming my crewmates are going to end up in the fucking crux of everything. So if I go where the bad guys are going, they'll probably be there too. And he was right.
He also
was right.
It also read to me that the logic was, it was also the only place I could dock without getting fucked up. So luck, just a bit of luck, because all of his stuff is about letting go of having to do this the most scientifically accurate, best way or methodology. And it's in part about his gut. His gut tells him, hey, expand this out. Let me see the whole system, baby.
Yep. He gets a bit of inspiration from the ring and also what's just happened to him because they had a little problem with the moon.
And he is going to slingshot his way to where he needs to go. But it's not easy.
Nope. It's a very particular maneuver and he has to work with the ship. And he basically says, oh, baby, come on now.
But he also encounters a Martian ship and he has to reverse because, oh, yeah, if I'm using this for secret reasons, they could also be using it for secret reasons. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And we are left not knowing how he got past that problem. There's a hint.
Did he successfully run on silent or did they choose to ignore him?
Or did he strike up a deal? We don't know. There's something in the air about how he got there and how he just manages to be the hero at the end that leaves a lot of uneasy feelings towards
we don't know
this.
how he got from A to B.
I don't like this story mainly for one reason, and it's always a pet peeve of mine. I find it embarrassing, which is he has to talk out loud to himself because he's talking to us, the audience.
Yeah.
He's saying it in a way where it's like he's talking it out loud and thinking it through, and he's saying it to the ship that he has given a personality to, but it is the writing saying we need to let the audience know what's going to go on now because it's so technical. But it's always awkward. It's always awkward to me when you have an actor have to give this type of dialogue. It's never natural, and it makes me see through the narrative and just think about that poor actor having to learn those lines and make it work. And the director saying, do it like this. It didn't feel right. It always irks me.
I get it. I feel similarly. Like, it's just like, oh, they need this. That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like I want to be here or, oh, that's interesting. It's like, oh, they have to have this. Okay, I'm enjoying Alex's accent in this one in particular because he's leaning into it much more.
The actor is very charismatic. He does a spectacular job with the role, and I wish that they would give him more to do. And this is what they are giving him, and I find it to be pretty thankless. The character that we've had issues with as well, Bobby, is finally doing what we assumed would happen, which is
betray Mars,
turn her back on everything she's held dear, realize that it's been propaganda, that it's been lies, that she has been used, that she is a pawn in a game that she does not wish to be a pawn in. She wants to be a player. She wants to know the truth. She wants to know that morals actually mean something. And the chaplain, her family friend, and a man of God, apparently, is saying to her, none of that matters. You're a soldier. Comply. You take orders. You don't question them. You don't have a brain. You are just muscles.
That's your role.
That's not your job. In fact, you fucked this up so much that when we take you back, you're not going to be a soldier anymore. You, in our society, are not only a traitor, but worthless to me. You're worthless to us. But bite your tongue and sit down and wait to go home. You are a disappointment to me, and probably your father as well, because I was such great friends with him. He told me this great story about how cool you were, and now that I've met you, you're not that cool. What's that about? Really disappointing. Just every time I see you, I'm going to pray to God that things don't go well for you because I'm a nasty man. He was just such a prick in this episode.
And it's just like, do you not know how people work, dude? Like, she's holding out because of her honor, because of how much she loves Mars and her loyalty and her identity as a Marine. And you are threatening to strip away the one thing she's fighting for.
Well, he doesn't need to think in those terms because he is her superior and she must obey. That's their culture. He's also a man from a different generation. He keeps hitting that as well. People from my generation, the Martians from my youth and my day, understood the hardships that we had to go through, while you are these hippy-dippy idealists, and you take everything for granted, and you're selfish. And you are absolutely the decline of our greatness. So you have to listen to me. And so she doesn't, and she beats the ever-loving shit out of him.
So well done. Like, you feel the impact of those punches and the immense hatred emanating from them.
Oh, and you get one of my absolute favorite things, which is a character who is determined in not shifting at all, and then they do because they've been beaten to a pulp, and so they're a snivelly little mess. He is so fucking sure of himself, and then by the end of that conversation, he's done. He's given her the information she needs, and that we need. And he says it with this air of, it doesn't matter, because you won't get very far, you fucking idiot. Don't you know who that is? That's Gunny, the character that's been on a very boring journey thus far, and has finally started to pick up some interest for me. I don't know, for you, Rachel, even before she defects to Earth, she gains political asylum. How do you feel about Bobby? Are you actually invested in her story now, or is this still one in which she exists as a player that you are not so keen on?
She's a player in Christian's game for me. That's where she is now. I am more interested in what she has to offer, and I think that it is an interesting thing that they've done with her. And she feels necessary now, like firmly planted. And now it's just like, okay, you wanted us to see all of this stuff before, so we felt more when we get to this point.
It was a weapons test. Me and my team, and your Marines too, we were caught in the middle.
That test nearly triggered a system-wide war.
The weapon's up for sale and Mars wants it. Badly. The peace talks, they were delaying action to buy time. To complete the terms of the contract, I guess.
She learns what I didn't want to know. I have not spoiled myself on anything in this series. I'm not a Nostradamus. I'm not a genius. I just gathered from context clues and things that shows like this do often, that it's super soldiers. They call it a hybrid, but it's super soldiers. I didn't want it to be super soldiers because
Neither did I.
Because that's what they always fucking do with these stories. Oh, we found an alien technology or entity and we'll weaponize it. The evil company wants to weaponize it. The evil government of a sci-fi dystopia wants to weaponize it. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, let's weaponize it. It's always that. And I just am so done with it. And The X-Files is a major contributor to my disdain for super soldiers. They had a whole super soldier arc, and it was one of the most miserable things I've ever sat through in my entire life. And this doesn't fill me with hope, but the series has shown, as we have gone over, that it can take these things that we have seen a dozen times over and build upon them and present them in a way that is worthy of being seen, even if it's again. So, I'm miserable knowing that it's super soldiers, but I am open to see where we go with it. Rachel, super soldiers, when he opened up that little laptop briefcase thing and said, they're hybrids, look at them, they're our little super soldiers. What was your gut reaction to it?
I didn't want it to be this, but I knew it was gonna be this. Why? Why does it always have to be super soldiers? That was basically it.
Is this something that you could actually see this series pulling off, making it something worth being a major antagonistic element that we're going to have to contend with and our heroes are going to have to fight against?
I don't know. It's a very difficult thing for them to pull off because of the baggage that I bring to it. And also, it's such a specific thing to do. And so many people have tried and failed. But they've pulled off the other things that were almost as tropey as super soldiers. So I am dubious, but slightly optimistic.
Christian is optimistic in this episode. She thinks that not only is it wonderful that Bobby has come over to her side and that we can work together and we can see eye to eye and we can exchange information, we can work together. Hell, you are someone that I can relate to as a military person. Christian has grown up with a family of soldiers, so they can bond over that. And Bobby just dismisses it. No, I'm not a soldier anymore. That's over now. And we get a pairing that I'm sure that you loved, which is Bobby and Kotya talking to one another.
Yeah, I liked it. I think that could be really fun. And I want more of him. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad.
Bobby got to drop the swear word in the episode.
Ooh,
what
yeah.
the fuck are you looking at? What's your fucking problem, mister? They both bring so much to the roles, those actors. He just has this devilish quality to him that's...
It's a flair.
And the actress who plays Bobby has the right, and this is really key, the right amount of stoicism. She's not so stoic that I don't think of her as someone with who's incapable of having emotions. We have seen that be the pitfall with a character who's played stoically. Holden has been like that in the past. That's more writing than the performance with him, but still, she balances that really well, the actor. And so seeing these two butt heads, even if it was for a second, it was one of those, ooh, what a pair. Ooh, I hope they have more conversations in the future. It's like with Christian and Ehrenreich, where Ehrenreich seemingly at the beginning was very cold, matter of fact, and Christian was the more emotive one. She was the more power hungry one. It seemed that she was the one that was willing to do heinous shit to get the job done. And now we have really flipped the table in a lot of ways, where we've spun it around, where he is the one that's willing to do horrible things to get the job done, and Christian is now more noble in our eyes, that she's seen as a good person.
She stayed for Earth.
And she bites down and admits to Ehrenreich something that she was willing to hold on to, but she is willing to give it away now because she believes in atonement. So she tells Ehrenreich that they are going to use you as the fall guy. If they can't get Mao, you're going to be the golden boy that's on the chopping block for everything that's gone wrong. And she says, I hope that this helps you and that you can further your road of redemption, that you can work towards a sense of fulfillment and atonement. And I like that for her. I don't believe Ehrenreich has any want of that, because he gave a very shifty look and then he left, and then by happenstance Mao calls her up. I don't believe Ehrenreich has turned a new leaf for a single moment. I think he is playing her. I think he has realized, it's best to lay my cards on the table to make it seem like I have nothing left to play. And she is falling for it. At least that's how I look at it.
Interesting. I think he knew that that's where he was heading. He was heading for the gallows, and that Mao wasn't on the side of Earth. So he's trying to minimize the damage that Mao is trying to do.
There's just Sean Doyle. I've often referenced him because he is a very great actor, and he was the breath of fresh air in Star Trek Discovery's 4th miserably long season, and he was so good in that season, and he's been so good in this series, And so I have a real, I just am paying attention to everything he does. And there's just something in his eyes when he heard about what the future holds for Aaron Wright that had a glint, there's a gleam in those eyes of, oh, I don't want that.
Of, oh no, I'm going to get out of this.
Yeah, I don't. And he's been nothing but deceitful for 2 seasons.
So why would he be telling the truth now? Yeah.
I hope that he could go on a redemption arc. I'm a big fan of those, but I'm also someone that gets off on him being a slimy little weasel man who is willing to betray and hurt others to secure his own power and his own well-being. So maybe I'm hoping that he's got a mischievous plan up his sleeve because I like
he's
that
always
version
got a
more.
Plan, yeah.
You need to use these hearings to tell them everything. Tell them yourself. Atone for your sins.
Will you speak on my behalf?
Sadavir.
Sorry, I shouldn't have even said that. I mean, it'd be a dumb move for you, obviously. There's no need to taint yourself with my folly.
Oh, by the way, Mao is in the episode. He shows up and they mention his daughter that she is someone that they could flip right now. And maybe that's...
Or get a message to him through her.
So maybe that's why Mao does enter into the conversation more directly because his daughter is the weak link and now he has been made aware of that. So he's going to play his cards. I see it as just awfully convenient that Aaron Wright is the one that is in league with Mao, and then once all of this is going on, he just gives a side eye and goes, oh, well, let's see what happens, and then Mao magically shows up out of the blue. But all of the pieces are there to see it in these different ways. But please, Rachel, let's go into some details about Mao and what he is offering.
Demanding. It's not even really an offer, is it?
It's an ultimatum.
It's just like, you'll fucking do this. It's like, if you ever, it's a ransom note. Practically, isn't it?
Oh, of course it is. He leaves a message saying, you're going to come, Christian, you're going to come to me. We are going to sort this out, and we're going to do it my way or it's the highway. If
and
you
come
don't,
alone.
If you don't, I'm going to fucking destroy everything. If you don't stop hurting my family and my reputation, if you don't stop, I'm going to do some of the worst things that you can ever imagine. And by the way, I'm a nice guy. I like how he tries to play that a little of, I'm still a good guy.
I'm not that bad. I was just drawn this way.
We have been saying for so long, Mao's going to be in this episode. He's going to show up. So many predictions have failed because we thought Mao would be in it. And then finally he's here and it's everything I've wanted.
But he's also like not here. Like his presence is felt and his voice is heard. But he's not on screen.
He's just a video message. He is not physically there, but he's back in the story. And maybe I'm biased because I've also seen this actor in a few things over the years, and he's a very skilled performer. He's a great character actor. He's always that guy to keep an eye out for, and he's often played villainous people. So I can't wait to see him do it more. And I loved just how fucking businessman-like he was in his message. Just, this isn't a conversation. This isn't a negotiation. This isn't me surrendering. This is a contract, and you're going to come to me and sign it with your blood. And if you don't, I'm going to spill the blood of others. So get here now. And Kotia, like the audience, says, well, it's obviously a trap. It looks like it isn't a trap, but it clearly is a trap. So don't go.
Is it Farscape where they're like, if a trap is a trap. You know that it's a trap, then it's not a trap.
I can't recollect, but I know that sentiment has been in something.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
There you go.
That's it.
That's why you thought of Farscape. Christian, what does she do?
She asks for advice, even though she sent the I accept RSVP yes an hour beforehand.
That's her, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Katya knows that this is her. Like, why do you ask me when you've already made your decision? Just to know how badly I'm going to fuck up before I fuck it up. Oh, man. This means that she's going to leave Earth. We have not seen Christian anywhere outside of her house in the UN.
Yeah.
What do you think about just that as something to see going forward, that Christian can finally meet up with some of the other characters?
I'm keen. I'm keen.
I'm not saying that this is going to make her meet up with any of but her being spacebound opens that door far more than her just... Because it's less likely that someone like Naomi is going to go to Earth anytime soon. It's more likely that Christian would leave Earth to go to places like Mars and Ganymede and the Belt, and than it is those people coming to New York.
Yeah. Like it was a surprise when Bobby made it to Earth.
Here There Be Dragons. Highly rated episode on IMDb, but we use a scale better than 1 out of 10. We use a scale that God himself balks at because it's so beyond even his comprehension.
Did you have that chat when you went to heaven to determine that we were the only Australian Babylon 5 podcast?
Are we the only Australian The Expanse podcast? I think we may be. Let's find out in the future. But we use a rating system that is yum being bad, yum yum being good, no half yums, no, I think it's good-ish, and so I'll give it a yum and a half, or it's so bad I give it a half a yum, or it's so good I give it a yum yum and a half. None of that.
Is it a yum or a yum yum from you?
I had a good time. I'm giving it a yum yum.
Yum yum.
Not as great as the previous episodes, but it's still a very entertaining story.
It's still a yum yum.
Yum yum.
But it's not a overwhelmingly enthusiastic yum yum. It's just a more sultry, confident yum yum. Episode 12 will be coming at you in a week or sooner.
Thank you, Rachel.
The Monster and the Rocket. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy.
How do you think they'll drop that title in the episode? How do you think they'll shove that one in?
I want it to be the name of 2 ships.
Oh, yeah, of course. I can see Prax saying it, by the way. So next time on the podcast, we will be discussing episode 12, The Monster and the Rocket, which is, in my recollection, the penultimate of the season. This is a season of 13 episodes, I want to say, or is this a 15er?
No, it's 13 according to the
IMDb.
list that I have here.
We will be nearing we're at the tail end of the season. So much can be happening. There's lots of threads that we are following, but there's also some that we haven't been picking up on since earlier to midway through. So where are we going next? What is the predictions for next episode and or the future? If I had to go straight to the point, I think Christian is going to leave and meet up with Mao, and it's a trap that Mao and Aaron Wright have put down because she is the person that knows about Aaron Wright's misdeeds.
Yes.
She is
that information's with
linchpin.
her, and that's what her right-hand man basically says of, like, if you disappear,
we're fucked.
Like, he wins. He wins.
And
do you want that? Do you want that?
And Holden is going to have to deal with the Blue Goo Man. That's going to be a big plot point.
Yeah.
Naomi's going to have to...
He's going on a bear hunt.
Naomi's going to have to try and save the station, and maybe she bumps into Strickland during all of this.
I think it definitely feels like it's going to be at least a 3-strand episode.
Now, the real twist is we cut back to Tycho Station and the Mormons are up in arms about Fred Johnson, and we get a whole Mormon plot.
Even better, the Gaunt Belter is advising Fred on Tycho of how to win the will of the people back.
Oh, yeah, we haven't been touching base with the OPA in any way, shape, or form.
No, like Dawes just ran away with a scientist.
It's almost as if we stopped doing anything with the OPA once we left Tycho Station. We threatened them in the episode. Christian used it as a reason for Bobby to stay on the ground, but we haven't really done anything more with it. I think that the OPA will probably be referenced at most in the final episode of the season. Yeah. I think we're kind of done with them for the time being. And further predictions for the show, I think the season has to end on the Caliban Project, which is the name of the hybrids, which is a neat Shakespeare reference, right? It has to pop off. I think that the Caliban Project, that this thing is going to be the thing that kicks off a war between Mars and Earth. I think that we've had 2 seasons of will we, won't we. I think season 2 has to end with yes, we will. And it's going to be this tragic thing that could have been avoided if it wasn't for the pettiness and greed of a corporation and governments. But that is my long-term prediction. Anything long-term for you?
Nobody's going to die next episode.
Not even sexy Australian, South African scientists?
I think we're going to have a 0 kill count. That's my out of nowhere prediction. Just for next episode.
Just for next episode.
Because I feel like all of my predictions are wrong, and that's almost guaranteed to be wrong.
They killed people in this episode.
Yes, they did.
Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening to us babble our way through The Expanse. It's been a fun time.
Yes.
I hope you've learned things along the way. I hope you felt things, enjoyed yourself. You can find us on your social media of choice under yumyumpod or yumyumpodcast. We are also available to contact directly at our email address, which is
yumyumpod@gmail.com.
If you aren't aware, we release this on our Patreon first, so if you want to hear the rest of the season or future episodes of The Expanse right now, rather than wait week to week, you can come on over and support us on Patreon. All of this is in the description below, and you can find it right there. So thank you all so much, but I am actually furious because what if the person that got blue goo injected that's outside, what happens if that's the Gaunt Belter? I have no evidence to say that it isn't. It could be a child that's gone super soldier, but I'm worried that the Gaunt Belter's fate is going to be one that's sad and tragic. Maybe they're going to have another Eros Station incident and something's going to crash into Ceres Station and the Gaunt Belter is going to get it first. That's actually my long-term prediction is the Gaunt Belter, I think, is going to go out in a blaze of glory, but it's going to be bittersweet.
See you then. Well, voila.